Brood 10,000 by Teal Livingston. "Can you walk?" he asked. She looked up into the sweet man's eyes and began to sob. His neck and the top of his bald head were covered. Cicadas gnawed viciously at the man's flesh, sending rivulets of blood around his brow and down his cheeks. They were done for, she thought. He just doesn't know it yet. "Come on, sweetheart," he said gently. "We've got to get moving," but was unable to lift the woman who'd all but given up. Her entire body went limp as thousands of the flying bugs descended upon her, crawling into her nose, ears, and mouth. Jake tried desperately to brush them away. Each pull of his hand simply filled back in the openings. He knew he couldn't save her. "Time to save yourself, buddy boy," he thought and stood. He tried to swat them away, but the sheer weight of the insects prevented him from doing anything but slightly shaking and shimmying. He hopped and danced about, coughing and choking on the flood of bugs entering his mouth. He turned to the door, moving much like a victim ablaze, delighted to see his friend Sam had reached the dining room. Mrs. Underwood looked back over her shoulder as Mildred slammed the foot braces into the door. She turned to find Sam wiggling the door handle and Gideon trying to break the glass with a fire extinguisher. "Let them in!" screamed Millie in her distinctive high-pitched voice that sent shivers throughout the room. "Never!" snarled the attendant with cheeks flushed, eyes watery, skin pasty white, each corner of the woman's quivering lips white with froth. She no better than a junkyard dog with little regard for the humanity of the residents desperately pleading for their lives on the other side. Smash! Went a flower vase over the back of Mrs. Underwood's head from the petite Millie. The burly woman turned with a scowl and then crumpled to the floor, unconscious or possibly dead. No one knew for sure. The Yoga Queens pulled her sack of concrete form out of the way while Millie plied the key from her burly wrist. She unlocked the door. 3 exhausted seniors spilled into the room, Mildred quite literally shoving both Sam and Gideon forward, turning around and slamming the door shut behind her. The trio fell to the ground, slapping away hundreds of still clinging insects as everyone else in the room, hopeless and desperate, watched the utterly futile but nonetheless valiant efforts of Jake tiredly spin around, completely consumed by the vicious cicadas. Elizabeth was already gone. Sam's poor friend had only seconds. "Coffee?" Dr. Knight asked as she glided into the small kitchenette set apart from the lab. "Please." "Please," resounded both the general and lieutenant. Dr. Knight grabbed the red handle of her porcelain mug that read, "Bug off, I'm on break." Dr. Rupert Thompson heated that coffee cup, felt it an abomination. But after several attempts to steal and then shatter the goddamn thing into itsy-bitsy pieces behind the blue dumpster out back, it always reappeared, to his chagrin, right where she kept it. Along with her mug, Erica included 2 styrofoam cups between her thumb and forefingers and glided gracefully back towards the government officials with coffee pot in hand. She poured a decent Colombian blend for herself first, and then her guests, leaving the steaming glass pot upon the stainless steel table next to the lieutenant's folded-out briefcase. The good doctor sat down to ponder upon the gnashing bugs. She gingerly took a sip of the piping hot brew. "Historians place human prehistory, or at least the precursor to humans, beginning around 10,000 BC, at the end of the last ice age. I'd always intimated these ancient cicadas to have come alive or into existence during that time," she said. Lieutenant Ringman whipped out her phone and queued up a video, facing the landscape screen to the doctor. "This was taken yesterday morning by a Mennonite child and live streamed," she said curtly. Erica watched the shaky camera footage, estimating the slaughtering brood upon a timid herd of grazing cattle to be at least 100,000 strong. The video, zooming in and clearly displaying the buggy red eyes and flickering wings of voracious cicadas, furiously slurping up thick pools of gathered blood, abruptly ended as the child was pulled indoors. We are contained. Over 1 square mile around a small town named Peebles, just over 2,000 residents, added General West in his deep voice, crafted from years of barking orders and issuing commands. Peebles? Erica gasped. Where the Serpent Mound is located? The World Heritage Site? The general looked perplexed and replied, Why, yes, it's about a mile from our outer perimeter. Actually, we've been using the facilities as a grounding area. What do you know of it? Jesus, the what-ifs, Dr. Knight quipped. The Serpent Mound is currently, I believe, the largest surviving prehistoric effigy mound in the world.